Hello everyone and welcome back to my Bold and Beautiful 29 YouTube channel. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Thomas seized Brooke in a wild outburst before Ridge burst in the design office. Thomas made it clear that he wouldn't let Brooke steal Ridge again, but she denied doing that. Thomas continued to condemn Brooke anyway and indeed suggested she might have offered the whole voyaging accident to get Ridge back. After Thomas spotted the marriage ring on Brooke's cutlet, he realized she'd formerly married Ridge again and flipped out indeed further. Thomas claimed Brooke was do wrong if she allowed. This was how the story ended. Brooke tried to move Thomas that Ridge was the bone. Who pushed for the speedy espousal and prompted Thomas to accept their decision. Thomas got decreasingly agitated and indeed threw in the classic slut from the veil personality. As Thomas's wrathfulness reached a whole new position, he seized Brooke's shoulders and left her looking terrified. Ridge bothered to Eric about Thomas's response to his reunion with Brooke. Eric conceded Thomas's past internal health issues, so there were growing enterprises about what he'd do when he set about Ridge married Brooke. Ridge ultimately entered the design office and shoved Thomas down from Brooke before glaring at his son intensively. Thomas contended with Ridge to tell him that he wasn't doing this to their family again. We'll explain to Bill and Katie how he set about that Luna was alive. Katie and Bill got updates only saving Luna, just like she saved Finn, so it all made sense. Will eventually admitted there was further to the story and suggested it got so much worse. Katie helped as Will filled Bill in on his crapulous after-party hassle in Deacon's spare room. Will confessed to realizing Luna was the one in his bed that night, so Bill and Katie were just as affrighted as he was. At Remy's apartment, he was confused over how Luna was still alive and mentioned her most recent crimes. Remy wanted to know where Luna had been all this time and knew she must have had help. Luna was cagey and acted like what signified was that she was a survivor. Luna was concentrated on hiding out and ultimately winning her chance with Will. So Remy was taken suddenly to learn she'd hit the wastes with him. Luna told the story of pursuing drunk Will while wearing the mask Elektra had been wearing earlier. Remy sounded perturbed as he tried to reuse all the news that Luna was throwing at him. Luna added to Remy's confusion when she suggested about giving Will commodity that would bond them for the rest of their lives. Ridge will shut down an out-of-control Thomas while Taylor blasts Eric. Thomas will grow decreasingly agitated over Brooke and her tight grip on Ridge. Thomas holds Brooke responsible for breaking up his family. He'll continue to toss pitfalls around and maybe hope to fix this. Brooke will try to move Thomas that it's time to let go. Ridge will ever have a special bond with Taylor as the mama of his children, but his heart belongs to Brooke and perhaps always has deep down. Brooke will admit that Ridge was willing to put a ring on it incontinently. So Thomas will reel over their fast engagement and indeed briskly marriage. Thomas will go ballistic over Ridge locking in a future with Brooke the veritably same day he ditched Taylor. It'll be hard for Thomas to indeed believe what he's hail, but Ridge will enter the fray and let Thomas know that Brooke's got it right. Ridge didn't want to stay a second longer on making Brooke his woman. So he'll appetite Thomas to calm down and understand that love is complicated. It's one thing for Thomas to have an opinion, but Ridge wouldn't let him attack Brooke. Ridge may contend that Thomas should concentrate his fury on him rather if he wants to be outraged over Taylor's heartbreak. Thomas wouldn't reply well to Brooke and Ridge's marriage updates, so he may stomp off and compass some sabotage if history is any suggestion. Taylor wind up blasting Eric away. Taylor may not be interested in Eric's pity since he's been campaigning so hard for Brooke and Ridge's reunion. Taylor hears the Brooke and Ridge marriage news, that'll make her feel indeed worse. Taylor has accepted Ridge's choice, but she'll still anticipate Brooke to find a way to squinch effects up ultimately. Luna's attempt to stay under the radar at Remy's apartment wouldn't go how she was hoping, especially since he's got a swain named Deke who could get in the way soon enough. Luna to get possessed by Will, Katie, Bill, and Lee. Luna's mess will get indeed messy. Is Thomas headed for a psychiatric installation? Thomas is obviously having an internal health reversal that numerous B&B suckers feel must be addressed. Ridge, what would be if he let Taylor down again? Thomas opened up about feeling lost in his particular life as well as his professional bone. Between ending his engagement with Paris and not having a real purpose in his career, Thomas has really been floundering. That's why Thomas stressed the significance of Ridge and Taylor's reunion, which Ridge has now yanked down. Thomas made it clear that he could handle Taylor and Ridge's split, so his warning may come true. It makes sense for Ridge to follow his heart. Ridge may be a flip lemon who doesn't treat women right, but he's entitled to make opinions for himself. Ridge clearly doesn't need to stay with a woman he doesn't want just to keep Thomas from going off the rails. Still, he needs real help. If Thomas is that mentally unstable. That's maybe more apparent than ever now that Thomas is growing decreasingly minatory and fixating on Brooke's blame. Thomas just hovered Brooke in the design office and will have another major outburst in the September 15th occasion. After Thomas gets updates on Ridge and Brooke tying the knot, he'll blow his top. Thomas will go as far as criminating Brooke of lying and will push Ridge to tell him this remarriage didn't be. Ridge will confirm he indeed said I do to Brooke and plans on being with her ever. There's no prognosticating what Thomas will do once Ridge's news cesspool's in, so Brooke could be in grave peril. Thomas is way too invested in his father's love life and way too hung up with Brooke being some master manipulator who's ruined everything. Thomas made in his internal health trip has gone right out the window. Thomas has experienced remedy, but he may need further than the help he's entered in the history. Should Thomas get treatment at a psychiatric installation? Still, an intervention may be necessary, if Thomas does commodity to prove he's a peril to himself or others. Will wanted to know who's been draining him. The person in question participated a print of Electra's mask from an unknown number. Will consulted his family, Liam, and Liam set up the position of the phone number. Will busted into the apartment and came face to face with Luna back from the dead. Also, he learned that she was the bone. Who was in his bed that night? Will was beside himself over these exposures. He'd to sit down and collect himself. Luna was on another earth. She couldn't get a read on Will's face. He was easily not interested in her. Yet, she allowed. They were meant to be together. She talked about their inconceivable chemistry that night. But Will reminded her that she took advantage of him. He doesn't indeed know the full details about her getting him drunk at the creation party. Luna doubled down on her claims that they had coitus. And she allowed. They could have a future together. Will told her that he could no way be Electra. He assumed that he was with his gal. Luna was supposed to be dead. But she's still around and committing crimes. Luna claimed that what they had was instigative and that she had no way been with a man like that ahead. Funny, she used to say the same thing about Zend. She also saw it as a joke. Luna told Will that he could sleep with her again. But Will has different plans. He told Luna that she's going back to jail for good. She joked that he could stop by for marital visits. It's not a joke. Will has been assaulted. And his father will be stepping in to reverse the amnesty he granted Luna.